I come down yesterday to get a drink and all the lot of
April 2nd, 1987. before you start swearing.
You gotta moon the governor when he comes by.
There's the warehouse. There's the warehouse. See that warehouse over there? That gray building? Gray?
evening. I'm Kim Block.
And I'm Tom Andrews. Bruce Berlinger has the night off. For the last several days, the rest of Maine has been waist-deep in floodwaters. Today, that all changed.
The Saco River went out of its banks, forcing people out of their homes and sending emergency crews scurrying from Saco and Biddeford upstream to Hollis and Buxton. News 13's Rebecca Stevens is alongside the Saco in West Buxton. Rebecca, how bad is it out there?
Well, Kim, the river is still rising at this hour, and we're not exactly sure when it's actually going to crest. The people around here have been doing what they can throughout the day to fill the sandbags and keep shoring up the banks of the river. Now, some of the people we talked to had been working sandbags since 10 o'clock this morning. But for the people who were evacuated within the last 24 hours, it's just a little too little, a little too late. News 13's Lou Ann Soya has that story.
Volunteer firefighters helped put up a wall of sandbags. Floodwaters here at West Buxton Dam are not expected to reach their highest point until around midnight. Already things are bad enough. No banking will be done here for a while, and no books can be checked out from this library. Everyday life will be interrupted for a while. The National Weather Service says it's tough to measure just how long it will take for the floodwaters to crest at the mouth of the Saco. It probably won't be until late Saturday morning. But already the effects are being felt. Riverside residents and businesses are keeping an eye on the waters, already lapping at the doors. Police tell us some 100 people were evacuated from this area around 7 o'clock this morning. They were transported by bus to the Saco Armory for emergency shelter.
Are we all?
Oh, my. A couple of dozen people are calling this Red Cross shelter home for now. Volunteers expect more people to show up before the crisis is over.
Well, it just surprised me when somebody came and knocked at my door and said we would have to be evacuated.
The people who live here on Irving Street are among the close to 300 people who were forced from their homes last night and early this morning. This neighborhood is working together to see what can be salvaged. How's things look?
Well, we got about 20 inches and it'll be on the first floor. We just unloaded all my meat, and the guys upstairs their meat, so we're going to take it and put it in the freezer.
The Civil Emergency Preparedness Bureau and police say resident safety is their priority.
The problem right now will be to keep everybody out, keep spectators out. We don't want any looting going on or anything of that nature.
Now it's more rain people along the Saco are scared of. Even without that rain, it will be a couple of days before the river is back where it belongs. Lou Ann Stoya, News 13.
Thanks, Lou Ann. As you can see behind me right now, the Saco River is actually on that road behind me. Not 15 minutes ago, we had 3 men come down in this area in a rowboat. They also took a little tour around the library in the rowboat. No one is quite sure exactly when the river is going to crest, as we mentioned before, so we'll have to ask Paul Cousins in weather. But we'll have another report from West Buxton tonight at 11 o'clock. Reporting live from West Buxton, I'm Rebecca Stevens, News 13.
All right, Rebecca. Now, with flood damage in the millions of dollars, Maine will want money from Uncle Sam to help fix things up. And what will need a lot of fixing are roads and bridges.
Transportation Secretary Elizabeth Dole will decide if we get that money. As News 13's Bill Johnson reports, she came to Maine today to see what the floods have done.
Transportation Secretary Elizabeth Dole, invited to Maine by Republican Senator William Cohen. Although Maine has not yet asked for federal help, Dole sounded as if federal money for Maine is a sure thing.
And we stand ready to work with you to cooperate in every way. And I think going out today and having an opportunity to see firsthand the damage that has occurred will be very helpful.
Accompanied by Maine's political leaders, Secretary Dole boarded a Coast Guard helicopter for a look at flood-stricken sections of the state. They would see for themselves scenes like these, recorded by News 13's photographers yesterday. At least 3 bridges have been destroyed. More than $2 million will be needed to replace them. And there's no estimate of damage to roads, which will need extensive repairs.
We will be prepared where federal roads are concerned, bridges, culverts, to provide 100% funding for repairs, immediate repairs, and also for reconstruction in those areas. This means the state will not have to pay any funding. They will not have to utilize their funds on these federal projects.
When federal aid is approved, the government will set up field offices to help people whose homes were damaged or lost. Individual help might include low-interest loans, housing assistance, and in the worst cases, financial grants to displaced families. Governor McKernan is expected to ask for federal help next week. Transportation Secretary Dole would probably approve it by the weekend. Bill Johnson, News 13, Portland.
Of course, flood victims across the state are eagerly awaiting any help from the government. In the meantime, the massive cleanup has begun, with the latest efforts centering around the Augusta area. We go to News 13's Alex Eldridge live at the State House. Alex?
Well, Tom, that's right. That help from the state and the federal government just couldn't come quickly enough for the people we spoke with today. It is messy out there. The floors look absolutely nothing like the floor here in the State House. You can see the Kennebec out the back door of Ed Vinton's apartment in Hollowell. Inside, you can see what it has done.
All this is my wife's and my money, hard work, going right down the drain.
The Vintons and other Mainers face a cleanup that could take weeks, bringing back heat and electricity, scraping off mud, and trying to scrape up the cash to replace what was lost. The Vintons lost most of their daughter's clothing in the flood, many other small, personal items, signs of a life that must be rebuilt piece by piece. That goes for businesses, too. Frank Wingate lost a season's supply of fertilizer when water burst into his garden shop. He has no insurance, but he's not giving up.
We've all hit rock bottom. I mean, you can't get any worse, can't get any lower than this. There's nowhere to go but up. We're going up.
It'll be a long way back, too, in Gardner. This was the Lucky Strike bowling alley, 2 months before they can get over this run of bad luck. In Hollowell, waterlogged rubbish is piling high on Main Street, but merchants say they can get by on a shoestring, and many aren't thinking of relocating.
No, we got anything to talk about. I mean, yeah, get one high ground, it's just another rainy day.
But all that humor aside, these businesses are really hoping to get some help, and some residents tell me they may never even be able to move back into their houses unless they get some money to fix them back up. Tom?
Let's hope there's a way back for them. Thank you, Alex. Well, another casualty of the floods, the food in many Maine grocery stores. The state agriculture department has placed an embargo on the sale of any food that was in a store without electricity for more than 24 hours or was damaged by water. That means a lot of food products will be destroyed. That's the case at this Shop and Save at Gardner, where the water was at one point just 8 inches below the second floor of the building. Almost everything was contaminated. The state estimates that some 180 Maine stores stuffed oil food. Some of the undamaged products may eventually be sold, but only after a state inspection. Kim?
And the Lewiston-Auburn area is still cleaning up and pumping out from the flood. The National